Hi, hey Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Okay, today we're going to talk about the drum sander, oscillating belt drum sander from Rigid. Everybody's seen these. Mine's the gray base. So I bought mine like in 2003. It's a lot older than most of them. But there's a bunch of them out there. I see a lot of YouTubers that have them in their shop. And I like it a lot. And I suspect it's probably the nicest one out there for orbital sanders. But it does have one drawback. And that is this. That's the biggest one you can put on there. And I'll tell you what, there are times when I really would love to have a much bigger sanding drum. Because this works okay for some things, but man, when you really want to hug off material off of a long edge, this just doesn't cut it. You really want to get a much bigger sander. You've seen some of the heavy-duty orbital, the drum sanders have a really nice big, like a 4-inch drum on them. Well, I've decided that I want to do that to this. So I've decided I'm going to make a 6-inch drum for my drum sander, my oscillating spindle sander. So if you own one of these machines or you own some kind of oscillating drum sander, you might want to pay attention, because I'm going to show you something that you probably haven't ever seen before, because we're going to think outside the box. So basically, the first thing you have to remember on this is the reason this works is that the drum, even though it goes up and down like so, the bottom of it is always below table level. That's critical when it oscillates. And so the same thing holds true with a 6-inch drum. I made this drum myself, and I'll go over how I built this in a little bit and why I did what I did. So, but in order to get this to work on here, the first thing we have to do is raise our level of the bottom where this normally sits. We're going to raise it to where it's above this table level here. So what I did is I made spacers right here that I put on there now in order to use this drum. And I used a couple of pieces of rubber just to give it some cushion. I don't know if they really would make a difference in the vibration or not, but I feel better using them. And then in my drum, in the bottom here, that's another washer. So there's everything kind of sits cushioned on rubber washers. And what I did is, this is a 4-inch drum. And I went 4-inch because my belt sander is also 4-inch. And what I wanted to do is I used one of those belts. I cut it on the seam here. And I'll go over how I did this. But I wanted to use the same belt. And so that's why I went with 4 inches. I figured that's enough for now. When I made it, it has a 1/2-inch hole down it, which is the diameter of this shaft here. And on this side, I actually used a Forstner bit, 2 1/8, and I drilled down far enough into here that when I drop this on there with the spacers in there, I now have those threads exposed up here. So I can actually put the nut back on here to hold this in place. So now if I grab my big washer that came with it and the nut that comes with it, and I just put that on there, and I just finger tight. Doesn't have to be tight. This thing actually will tighten up as it goes along. In fact, it tightens to a point I got to get pliers to take it off. But that's another story, because my other drums don't do that. I know that the newer models have a problem with you had to have some kind of special tool to do that, because they get on there so tight. And I think like Mike Fulton, he made a little thing that fits on there perfect and on a CNC machine. And so if you need something like that, Mike Fulton's the one you talk to. I did a video talked about him when I did my table, my bandsaw table for dust collection. So anyway, off track. So anyway, so in order for this to work the same way as this, I have raised this up. Now with this in place, it stays above my tabletop. And in order to keep this underneath, because we don't want to be able to have anything go underneath this while it's turning, so you just create a new tabletop And that's about a 3/4 inch travel on that. And basically I'll make a table like this that'll drop in place, and I'll put miters in it. So I got a long way to go on this table, but basically now when I turn this on, I can use this drum sander like you would any drum sander. So, and I can tell you right now, when it's running, if I take this, it's got some pretty deep gouges in it. And I can very quickly and easily put this on here. Whew. I am going to have to do dust collection, yes. But boy, I can really hog off material real quick and easy. So if I got something really rough and I want to take that down, like after I cut it on the bandsaw, and you know how those marks are hard to get out, this will really help you be able to get that smoothed down and get rid of those band marks pretty quick and easily. Much better than trying to do it with this, which is what I used to do for years. So if you don't have a big sander drum like this, it's not hard to make one. If you have an oscillating sander, this is how you would do it in order to get a bigger sander on there. It seems to work real well. Now, I do have some drawbacks here, and I'll go over that in a second. But basically, when I'm done, I can just very quickly and easily loosen this up and take it off. And it doesn't take me any longer to take this drum on and off and put away and put the next one on than it does any of my other attachments. So this quick and easy, this thing is ready to have another drum be put on it. As far as this, my oil cookie here, I just keep a piece of 1/2 inch dowel around, and I take these loose pieces and stick them all on there. And then when I put this up on the shelf, it all stays together, so I have this to put on there instead of one of my other drums. So this is easy to take on and off. Nice little tool to add it to this. Having that bigger drum sander is going to be awesome. Now, as I was talking about before, real quick, let's go over about the pros and cons here. I think first off, instead of 6 inches, I think I'm going to go to 4. So I'm going to make another one 4 inches. The other thing, I trued this up right on here, but I think I probably didn't get it quite true. And so I get just a very slight amount of variation when I'm using it. When you're hogging off material, it doesn't matter. But if I wanted to do some really fine detail work, that would be a little more difficult using this. But if I was doing something that detailed, more than likely, I'd want to get back down to my factory drums to do this. So I think that for what it's designed for, and that is to really hog off material, this will do it now. So it's nice to have this in my arsenal for my sander. It's going to be a big improvement and let me do a lot of other things on here that I couldn't do before. I don't know why I didn't think about it sooner. It was pretty easy to do once I figured it out. So thinking outside the box. As far as making it, all I did was I took some 1/2 inch press board and I cut it into 6 inch round discs. Yes, on my circle cutting jig. Already came in handy because I did about 12 of these to make sure I had enough of them. And I ended up putting them all together, gluing them up together, drilled a 1/2 inch hole down the center all the way through, and I put here, I drilled down with a 2 1/8 inch Forstner bit until I reached low enough that when I drop this on here in place, my threads are sticking up as it's sitting on the spacer. So that amount will be dictated by how far, where your threads are when you make your drum, and as to how wide you make this drum. Now I made this drum 4 inches wide because I'm also using these belts. This is the same belt that fits on the belt attachment for this sander. And all I did with it is I cut it right on its seam, and then I cut it down to the exact length it needed to be. I put a piece of Gorilla Tape on the back side and looped it back together and stuck it together, and then I slid it down on here. So it's critical you get this to the exact size. If it takes you more than one try, no big deal, but when you finally get it to fit right, then you'll know it. As far as the drum, I have my 6 inch drum here, Then when I trued it up, it dropped it off some. But I did take some cork, and I glued with wood glue cork all the way around, so that I have a slight cushion rather than going straight against the hard wood with my sandpaper. It actually has that cork in between. Does that help? I don't know. I thought I'd try it. I'm not sure it's the right material. I'll know more after I use this for a while. And I am going to make the 4-inch, and I'll use that. The other thing I have to do is, as you saw, I'm definitely going to have to do some dust control on this thing too. So that's the whole thing in a nutshell. That's how I made it. You also know the pros and the cons of it. I think it's real important to make it really critical. When you true this up, you got to really be more careful than I probably was on this one. So the 4-inch, I'm going to do better. So anyway, I have some other ideas for this particular sander that I'll get into. But I thought I'd show this to you. If you have any questions about it or comments, or if you want to make one yourself and you have some needs to bounce off me your ideas, don't be afraid. Just leave it in the comments if you would. I pretty much answer most of them. If you like this video or if you learned something here, don't be afraid to hit that like button. It's appreciated. I thank you for coming by. Most importantly, though, please come back again, because we're nowhere near done. Thanks, and we'll see you again soon.